On this next section, we're going to review the advantage of working with Coldwell Banker, and then we're going to review agency, which is how a real estate agent can represent a client in the state of Virginia. So moving on first to the advantage of working with me or someone else here at Coldwell Banker is our commitment to you as a buyer. Now, with you naming us as your buyer's agent, we're going to work on your behalf to help find you a property that fits your needs. Then we're going to help negotiate the purchase contract and handle all the details and keeping you informed, of course. And all of this can be highlighted in, we call it a buyer's plan of action. It's quite lengthy. It's going to be here in your guidebook. And what it actually covers is all the different steps that happens throughout this whole process, everything that we do, everything for you to expect. One of the main things I feel like really sets us apart and why a lot of buyers choose to work with us rather than other agents or brokerages is we really do go much above and beyond just the multiple listing service to help find our clients the best houses and the best deals. We take a very proactive and aggressive approach just to help find the best home at the best price. Some of these things we include are we're consistently door knocking and telemarketing into specific neighborhoods to help find our clients' houses if they're having trouble finding one that isn't already listed in the multiple listing service. And that's something we do on a consistent basis, whether it be specifically tailored to a neighborhood or area of town that you're interested in. It's something we just do constantly all the time, trying to find new clients to help them sell their homes. Another thing we do is we're constantly scouring old, expired, canceled, and withdrawn listings. And these are homes that were for sale, over the last couple of years and for whatever reason didn't sell. We're consistently reaching out to these folks, just curious to see if they'd want to sell their home, especially if they didn't have to go through the hassle of, fully marketing and putting it up on the MLS. And lastly, we're just always in touch with our database. We have a very large database that we actively keep in communication with. And we have a lot of clients, with the right buyer would be happy to sell their home with that extra, without having to go through that extra hassle of having their home on the market. And as we go through the guidebook here, you'll see all the different steps. This video itself is part of it, explanation of the home buying process, getting you pre-qualified, helping figure out exactly the type of house that you're looking for, all the way through, putting together a purchase contract, negotiations, helping you through closing. Each step is highlighted as you go down here, including all the services we offer after closing. As your real estate agent, our services don't stop after you move in. We like to stay in contact with our clients, making sure that everything with the house is still going okay. One fun thing we offer is we offer a ribbon cutting. You can have a picture or a video made for your memories. Of course, this is optional. Always be there as a source for any professionals, housing or otherwise, contractors, landscaping, interior decorators, tree work. Essentially, if you need some professional, there's a good chance we've worked with someone and can recommend someone to you that's going to be fairly priced and ethical to work with. We can help you out with just sending you 10% off Lowe's coupons. All you got to do is ask, and it shows up in your email a couple days later. Monthly updates, newsletters, etc. So there's a lot of things that we offer after the fact, just continually being your realtors for life. And one thing that we like is we consider ourselves a one-stop shop. With us, we have our recommended lenders, home inspectors, title closing companies, and then of course I have my staff here, the office manager and a transaction coordinator, and if needed, other colleagues here that can help with scheduling and showing properties to you. Now, please know that as a buyer, you can choose any lender, any home inspector, and any closing attorney or company that you'd like. I know though, if you go with who we recommend, I can say with a really high level of confidence that you're going to have a good experience. It's going to be a smoother transaction. Whereas if you go with someone else, I wouldn't be able to say. Moving on to agency. So in Virginia, there's 4 ways a real estate agent can represent a client. Mainly 2 ways. First and foremost, as in this instance, we would be your buyer's agent. We would represent you, the buyer, have a fiduciary responsibility to work for you and have your best interest at heart at all times. The other way a real estate agent can represent a client is to be their seller's agent. Anytime you're driving around, you see a house with a for sale sign, That name on that sign is going to be their seller's agent. They're going to have a fiduciary responsibility to that seller first in helping them get the house sold and for as much money as possible. There's two other instances where agency can come into play. The first one doesn't happen a lot, but it definitely can happen. Is let's say you like one of my listings. If you're okay with it and the seller's okay with it, we put it in writing into a disclosure, and I can represent both sides of the party. The thing to keep in mind is, of course, I can't tell you how low the sellers would come in price, and of course, I couldn't tell my sellers how high you'd be willing to come up in price. The good thing is I can always get a hold of the other agent on the other side, and cross that bridge when we get there. I can tell you a little bit more about that, once we meet in person. But what happens a whole lot more often, we call it designated agency. So let's say you like one of my colleagues' listings. You like one of their houses, want to buy that. Since we have the same boss and have the same roof here at our office, we would just have to disclose in writing that we work at the same office. But essentially, it's just like any other transaction. I wouldn't tell them any of your information. They won't tell me any of the seller's information. But the good thing is I know if there's a Coldwell Banker Vaughn agent on the other side of the transaction, I know that they know what they're doing, and they're going to be very easy to get a hold of. I see them pretty much every single day here at the office. So that's definitely an advantage for everyone in the transaction. And in Virginia, you have to put every single real estate relationship in writing, including, me helping you as your buyer's agent. So what we have here is called a buyer broker agreement. You may not be able to see it very well in the slides, so there's a copy here in your guidebook. You can take a look through it. A couple things are filled out. Most of it's blank because it would be tailored specifically to you and your name and your time frame. But that is something required by law in Virginia. And now that we've gone over the advantages of working with me and Coldwell Banker Real Estate and the different things that we do for you throughout that process, the distinct advantage of having us help you versus other buyers agents, and now that we've also discussed agency, well, what now? Well, let's go looking. I'm going to set up a search directly in the multiple listing service. I'm going to use the information on the buyer's questionnaire that you may either have already given to me or about to fill out. I'm going to take that information and we're going to schedule showings to go and take a look at these properties. We'll figure out the best time that works for everyone's schedule, and typically want to keep it to about 4 or 5 at a time. I've noticed in my experience, if you start looking at more than 4 or 5 in one showing session, it starts getting really confusing. The houses just start to blur together, and it ends up actually hurting a little bit more than helping. So even if we got to break it up into like 2 different sessions in the same day, or just back-to-back days, we can figure that out when we get a little bit closer to setting that up. And just a couple things to keep in mind. First and foremost, if you don't plan to pay cash for your home, you will need a pre-approval letter from the lender in hand before we go look at properties in person. And the benefit to you in doing this is, if you find a house and you really like it, well, we can put a purchase contract together right then and there. No seller's even going to look at a purchase contract without a lender letter. And I've seen instances in the past where someone really liked a home, and by the time they got a letter the next day, someone else had come and put it in a purchase contract and bought the property. And they were really upset because they really liked the house. And I don't want to see that happen to you. I'd like to have all my clients be in the best position possible when going out and looking, just so we can get the house that suits your needs at the best possible deal. Another thing to keep in mind is just understanding as your agent, I can show you any home that's for sale here in the area, or actually technically in Virginia. That includes normal resales. You've seen those red and white for sale by owner signs, foreclosed homes, short sales, new construction, even if you're just building from scratch. No matter what it is, if you're looking to buy a house, I can help you negotiate the best price and terms for you, as it's really my job is to look out for you and your best interest in any situation. The next thing is if you do come in contact with any sellers, other real estate agents, builders, new home sales agents, just make sure to simply tell them that you're working with me. If you have a card, you can hand that to them as well. And then last but not least is just really to contact me when you want more information on a particular property. instead of calling the seller or the listing agent or whatever information might be online. Just remember, a listing agent represents that seller in their best interest. So contacting me, I can get and talk with them, find out a little bit more, find out why they're moving, find out details, of previous showings, if they've had any offers, etc., and really find out all the information that you would need or be looking for. So that wraps up this section of the video. Please click the link below in the comments to get to the next part. I look forward to seeing you there.